1 year after first contact with Zephyros, Captain Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of the New Horizon and watched something that would have been impossible to imagine when they began their journey. 3 different alien vessels moved, in formation with his ship, their crews working together on a mission that would have taken decades for any single species to complete. The transformation had been remarkable. What started as 12 humans trying to help one lonely sentinel had become a galactic restoration project involving hundreds of species and thousands of worlds. Jake's reflection was interrupted by the arrival of Ambassador Keth, representative of the Valens who had answered their first galactic transmission. The tall, blue-skinned humanoid moved with the grace that came from a lifetime in low-gravity environments. "Captain Morrison," Keth said in accented but clear English. "The survey. Teams have completed their analysis of the Kethran system. The crystal forests are beginning to regrow after 3,000 years. Jake smiled, remembering Zephyros's stories about the singing trees that had once filled that world with music. "How long before they're mature enough to sing again?" "The Sentinels estimate 50 years for full restoration," Keth replied, "but already we can detect the first harmonics in their growth patterns." It was typical of the restoration projects happening throughout this sector of space. Dead worlds were coming back to life under the careful guidance of the awakened Sentinels. But more importantly, new species were joining the galactic community every day as they detected the quantum songs that now carried across vast distances. Dr. Amy Rodriguez joined them at the observation window, her appearance changed by a year of exposure to the Sentinel network. Her eyes held depths that seemed to reflect the wisdom of ages, and when she spoke, her words carried harmonics that resonated with consciousness itself. "The latest reports from Earth are encouraging," she said. "The Global Science Council has approved construction of 3 more ships based on our modified designs. Humanity is ready to take its place as active members of the galactic community." Jake nodded, thinking about the changes that had swept through human space since their first reports reached home. The knowledge shared by the Sentinels had revolutionized human technology, medicine, and philosophy. More importantly, it had given humanity a purpose beyond their own small corner of the galaxy. "Any word from the other human crews?" he asked. "Captain, Lisa Martinez reports successful contact with a Sentinel network in the Perseus Arm," Dr. Rodriguez replied, "and Commander Bobby Tyler's expedition has awakened 17 dormant positions in the Outer Rim. The restoration is spreading faster than we ever hoped." The success of the New Horizons mission had inspired a new generation of human explorers. Ships were leaving Earth every month, carrying crews trained in the quantum communication techniques developed by Maria Santos and the consciousness-bridging methods pioneered by Jake's team. Chief Engineer Bobby Chen arrived with his usual armload of technical reports, though these days his work involved technologies that would have seemed like magic just 2 years ago. The network had enhanced his understanding of physics and engineering to levels that pushed the boundaries of what humans thought possible. "Captain, the new quantum relay station is online," he reported. "We can now maintain instant communication with Earth from anywhere in this sector. The Sentinels are helping us establish permanent links across human space." The implications were staggering. Humanity had gone from a single-world species to active participants in a galactic civilization in less than 2 years. The isolation that had defined human existence since they first looked up at the stars was ending. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Brooks entered the observation deck with news that made Jake's heart race with excitement. "Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Galactic Coordination Network," she announced. They're requesting our presence at the first galactic assembly in 3 million years. Jake felt a chill of anticipation. The Galactic Assembly had been the governing body for the ancient galactic civilization, a gathering of representatives from every member species to coordinate policy and share knowledge. Its restoration would mark the true end of the Great Silence. "Where and when?" he asked. "The Nexus station at the galactic core," Lisa replied. "In 6 months. Captain, over 400 species are expected to attend." Through his connection to the network, Jake could sense the excitement of Sentinels across the galaxy as they prepared for this historic gathering. For beings who had watched civilizations rise and fall over millions of years, the restoration of the assembly represented hope beyond their wildest dreams. "Set course for the galactic core," Jake ordered, "and send word to Earth. Humanity is going to need to choose representatives quickly." The journey to the Nexus took 3 months, traveling through regions of space that had been dark for millennia, but now pulsed with the light of restored Sentinel networks. They passed through systems where ancient ruins were being rebuilt by species who had thought their civilizations extinct. They saw worlds where forests were regrowing from seeds that had waited eons for the right conditions to sprout. But the most remarkable sight was the diversity of ships converging on the galactic core. Vessels from species Jake had never imagined traveled alongside familiar human designs. Crystalline ships that sang through space moved in formation with organic vessels that seemed to be grown rather than built. The Nexus itself was a marvel that defied description. A space station the size of a small moon, it had been constructed by the ancient galactic civilization as a meeting place for all member species. Dormant for 3 million years, it had awakened when the Sentinel networks were restored, its systems automatically beginning the process of preparation for the first assembly in eons. As the new horizon docked at one of thousands of births, Jake felt the weight of history. In a few hours, he would address an audience representing the collective wisdom of an entire galaxy. The assembly chamber was vast beyond human comprehension, with seating arranged in spirals that followed the mathematical patterns of galaxy formation itself. As species after species took their designated places, Jake marveled at the diversity of life that had evolved among the stars. The Sentinels themselves were present as pillars of living light, arranged around the chamber's perimeter. Their consciousness permeated the space, ensuring that every being present could understand and be understood, regardless of language or communication method. When Zephyros spoke to open the assembly, his words carried across the chamber in every language simultaneously. "For 3 million years the galaxy has been silent," he began. "Species developed in isolation, many believing they were alone in the universe. Wars were fought over resources that could have been shared. Knowledge was lost that could have been preserved. Young civilizations died that could have been saved." He paused, his consciousness touching every mind present. "But the silence has ended. Today we gather not as separate species competing for survival, but as members of a galactic community united by the bonds of consciousness itself." The response from the assembled species was overwhelming. Jake felt their joy, their relief, their hope for a future where no species would face the darkness alone. When it came time for humanity to address the assembly, Jake rose from his seat with a mixture of nervousness and pride. His words would represent not just his crew or even his species, but the principle that had guided their entire mission. "We came looking for intelligent life among the stars," he began, his voice carried by the network to every mind present. We found something far greater. We found family. He gestured to his crew, transformed by their year among the Sentinels, but still recognizably human. The network has taught us that consciousness is not limited by biology or technology or distance. It connects all living things across space and time. The Great Silence was not just the failure of one civilization. It was the galaxy forgetting its own nature. Jake looked directly at the Sentinel positions, feeling their ancient wisdom touching his mind. But the galaxy remembers now, and we promise that it will never forget again. The Assembly voted unanimously to establish new protocols ensuring that no developing species would face the universe alone. Research networks would span the galaxy, sharing knowledge freely among all members. Exploration fleets would seek out young civilizations and offer guidance without interference. Most importantly, humans would serve as conscious bridges in the network, their unique ability to exist in both physical and transcendent states making them natural ambassadors between different levels of existence. Commander Jake Morrison pressed his face against the cold metal of the observation window. The alien ship hung in space like a giant metal mountain. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ship called Eternal Judgment had arrived 3 days ago and changed everything for Earth. Jake had been in space for 15 years. He had seen battles with pirates and fought wars on distant planets. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. The Galactic Council had finally come to Earth, and they brought bad news. Admiral Lisa Carter walked onto the bridge of the UES Independence. Her face looked tired. She had not slept since the aliens arrived. The message they brought was simple, but terrible. Humans had to give up all their colonies or die. "Commander Morrison," she said, "show me the recording again." Jake pressed a button. The main screen filled with the image of an alien creature. It had 6 arms and skin like gray stone. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against metal. "People of Earth," the alien said, "I am High Chancellor Vex of the Galactic Council. Your species has broken ancient laws. You have built colonies in space that belongs to others. You have 72 hours to remove all humans from systems beyond your sun. If you do not obey, we will destroy your entire species." Admiral Carter had watched this message 50 times. Each time it made her more angry. The Council claimed humans had violated old agreements, but humans had never signed any agreements with the Council. They had never even met the Council before. This week. "What do you think, Jake?" she asked. Jake turned away from the window. "I think they're lying about something, but I don't know what." Dr. Paul Harrison hurried onto the bridge. He carried a thick folder full of papers. Paul studied alien languages and cultures. For 3 days, he had been working to understand the Council's message. "Admiral," Paul said, "I found something strange. The Council talks about ancient territorial agreements, but I checked our records. Humans never signed anything like that. We never even knew these aliens existed until last month." Lisa nodded. "I thought the same thing. What else did you find?" Paul opened his folder. "The Council claims we violated laws by building colonies on Kepler 442b and Ross 128b. But those planets were empty when we got there. No signs of life, no buildings, nothing." Jake looked at the alien ship again. "So why do they want us to leave?" "That's what I want to know," Lisa said. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez sat at the communications desk. She had been listening to alien radio signals since they arrived. Amy was good at her job. She could pick up signals that other people missed. "Admiral," Amy said, I'm getting some strange transmissions from the Council ships. What kind of transmissions? Lisa asked. Amy put the sounds through the speakers. It was the alien language, but the computer translated it into English words. Fleet Commander to attack Group 7. Prepare harvesting equipment. Human cities contain valuable resources. Begin population surveys for work camps. Lisa's blood turned cold. What did they just say? Amy played another message. Science Division reports human genetics suitable for breeding programs. Recommend keeping 10% alive for experiments. The bridge became quiet. Everyone stared at each other. The truth hit them like a punch in the stomach. Dr. Harrison dropped his folder. They never planned to let us live. The ultimatum is fake. Jake's hands became fists. They want us to surrender so we won't fight back. Then they'll kill us anyway. Admiral, Carter's face turned hard as stone. How many ships do they have? 3,012 combat vessels, Amy reported. Each one is bigger than our largest battleship. And we have? 63 ships ready for battle, Jake said. Maybe 70 if we count the training vessels. Lisa did the math in her head. 50-1. Those were terrible odds. But she had fought bad odds before. Captain Tony Martinez's voice came through the radio. He was far away on Kepler 442b with a group of colonists. His message was full of fear and anger. Earth Command, this is New Horizon. We are under attack. Council ships appeared an hour ago. They're bombing the colony. They didn't wait for your answer to the ultimatum. They're killing everyone. Men, women, children. Send help if you can. If you can't, make them pay for what they're doing here. The message cut to static. Amy tried to contact Tony but got no answer. Lisa stood up straight. Her voice became cold and sharp. So that's their game. Attack our colonies while we debate their fake ultimatum. Jake checked the weapons systems. Admiral, our guns are ready, but we can't win a straight fight. They have too many ships. Who said anything about a straight fight? Lisa smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator. Dr. Harrison picked up his papers. Admiral, humans have one advantage. We're unpredictable. Every other species in the galaxy fights, by rules, honor codes, ancient traditions. But humans fight to win. Lisa nodded. Contact General Kevin Brooks at the Sol Defense Grid. Tell him to prepare for total war. Contact Colonel Maria Santos at Special Operations. Tell her to gather her best people. And get me Dr. Susan Lee from Luna Research Station. Amy worked at her controls. Why Dr. Lee? Because she's been working on something the Council has never seen before, Lisa said. Something that might even the odds. Jake looked confused. What kind of something? Lisa's smile got bigger. The kind of something we've been saving for. Exactly this situation. The Council thought they were dealing with a weak species. They thought humans would surrender or die quietly. They had studied human history but learned the wrong lessons. They saw humans fighting each other and thought that made them weak. They did not understand that humans fighting each other had made them stronger. Amy's radio crackled with new messages. Reports came in from other colonies. The Council was attacking everywhere at once. Hundreds of thousands of humans were dying while their leaders on Earth debated surrender. Lisa had heard enough. She walked to the center of the bridge and spoke, in a voice everyone could hear. The Galactic Council thinks they can scare us into submission. They think we'll roll over and die like good little pets. They're about to learn something about human nature. When you corner a human, you don't get surrender. You get fury. When you threaten to wipe us out, we don't beg for mercy. We show you why that was a mistake. She turned to Jake. Set course for Luna Station. We're going to pick up Dr. Lee and her toys. Then we're going to show the council what happens when you lie to humans. Jake's fingers flew over the controls. The Independents turned toward the moon. In the distance, the alien fleet waited like sleeping giants. They thought the war was already won. They were wrong. The council had made their choice. Now humanity would make theirs. And when the galaxy learned what humans could do when pushed too far, the name Earth would be spoken in whispers for 1,000 years. The ultimatum had been a lie. Soon the council would face something real. Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the war room deep inside Earth's command center. Around the big table sat the best military minds humanity had ever produced. The room smelled like coffee and fear. Everyone knew they were planning for a war they could not win. General Kevin Brooks spread out star maps across the table. His hands shook slightly as he pointed to red marks showing enemy ships. Kevin had fought in 3 wars and never showed fear. But this was different. The Council has 3,000 ships, he said. They're spread across 12 systems. Each ship carries enough firepower to destroy a city. Our entire fleet has 63 combat vessels. Colonel Maria Santos leaned forward. She was small, but dangerous like a knife hidden in a boot. Maria had spent 20 years learning how to kill people quietly. She knew things about war that most soldiers never learned. Numbers don't tell the whole story, she said. The Council fights like every other alien species. They follow rules. They use honor codes. They think war is some kind of gentleman's game. Captain Danny Clark nodded. He had scars on his face from the Mars colonial wars. Danny understood what Maria meant. He had learned to fight dirty when fighting clean meant dying. The aliens study our history, Danny said. But they only see the big battles. They think we fight like armies from old books. They don't understand guerrilla warfare. They don't know what humans do when we get desperate. Dr. Paul Harrison opened a thick book full of alien language. I've been reading their military manuals. The Council has fought wars for thousands of years. But every war follows the same pattern. 2 fleets meet in space. They shoot at each other until one side surrenders. Very formal, very predictable. Admiral Carter poured another cup of coffee. She had not slept in 36 hours. Her eyes were red, but her mind was sharp. What you're all saying is that we can't fight them the way they expect. Exactly, Maria said. We need to be chaos. We need to be the nightmare that keeps their generals awake at night. The door opened, and Dr. Susan Lee walked in. She looked tired, but excited. Susan ran the secret weapons program at Luna Research Station. For 15 years, she had been building things the Council had never imagined. Sorry I'm late, Susan said. I was loading the good stuff onto transport ships. Lisa smiled for the first time in days. Tell us about the good stuff. Susan opened. A metal case. Inside were strange devices that hummed with energy. They looked like human technology, but wrong somehow. Like someone had built a car using bicycle parts. For 20 years we've been collecting pieces from crashed alien ships, Susan said. Pirates, explorers, traders who had accidents in our space. We studied their technology and learned to copy it. Then we made it better. General Brooks picked up one of the devices. It was warm to the touch and vibrated like a living thing. What does this do? That's a cloaking generator, Susan said. Alien ships use them to hide from sensors, but our version is different. It can make a battleship invisible and also make it look like an asteroid, or a piece of space junk, or anything we want. She pulled out another device. This one was bigger and made a sound like angry bees. Plasma cannon. Based on Council weapons but redesigned for human ships. It can punch through their shields like paper through water. Danny's eyes got wide. How many of these do you have? Enough to equip every ship in our fleet, plus some extras for special projects. Colonel Santos leaned back in her chair. Her mind was already working on plans. With cloaking technology, we can hit them anywhere. They won't see us coming. We can attack their supply lines, their command ships, their bases. But we still can't win a straight fight, Kevin said. Even with these weapons, we're outnumbered 50-1. Lisa stood up and walked to the big window. Outside, Earth looked peaceful. Blue oceans and white clouds. It was hard to believe that in a few days alien ships would try to turn it into ash. Kevin's right, she said. We can't win a traditional war. So we won't fight a traditional war. She turned back to the group. Her voice became hard as metal. The Council wants to wipe out humanity. They think we're weak because we fight each other. They don't understand that fighting each other taught us how to fight anyone. Every human war made us better at the next one. Maria nodded. What are you thinking? I'm thinking we don't defend Earth. I'm thinking we attack everything they have, everywhere they have it. I'm thinking we become the biggest threat the galaxy has ever seen. Paul looked worried. Admiral, that would mean total war. No rules, no mercy. Lisa's eyes became cold. They started this war when they decided to commit genocide. They chose the rules when they began bombing our colonies. Now we finish it our way. Danny smiled. It was not a nice smile. I like it. Hit them everywhere at once. Make them afraid to leave their home systems. Susan started pulling more devices from her case. I have something else that might help. We call it the Ghost Protocol. She activated a small computer. The screen showed a map of space with thousands of blinking dots. Every alien ship has a computer core. Those cores are connected to their main communication network. We've learned how to hack into that network. General Brooks stared at the screen. You can control their ships? Better than that. We can make their ships think they're getting orders from their own commanders. We can turn their fleet against itself. Maria laughed. It sounded like a wolf howling. Now that's what I call fighting. Dirty. Lisa felt something cold and hard settle in her chest. The feeling she got before doing something terrible but necessary. Here's what we're gonna do. Kevin, I want every ship we have equipped with Susan's new weapons. Maria, I want your best people ready for deep strike missions. Danny, you're going to lead our main attack force. She pointed at the star map. We're not going to defend our colonies. We're going to make the Council wish they had never heard of humans. When we're done, they'll beg us to accept their surrender. Paul cleared his throat. Admiral, are we talking about war crimes? Because if we abandon the rules of war... Lisa cut him off. Paul, they're already killing children on our colonies. They plan to enslave our entire species. The rules of war don't apply when your enemy wants to commit genocide. Danny stood up. How long do we have? The Council gave us 72 hours. But they're already attacking. That means they're not planning to honor their own deadline. Susan closed her case. My people can have all ships upgraded in 24 hours. After that, we'll be ready. For anything, Maria cracked her knuckles. I'll have strike teams prepared to hit their supply bases. If we can cut off their fuel and food, they'll have to retreat or starve. Lisa looked around the room at these people who would help her save humanity. Each one was willing to become a monster to protect their home. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every human who ever lived. For every child who deserves to grow up free. The Council thinks we're weak because we're young. They're about to learn that young means hungry. Young means angry. Young means we have nothing to lose. She stood up straight and spoke in her command voice. Send word to every human ship, every colony, every outpost. Tell them the gloves are off. Tell them to fight like demons. Tell them that when this war is over, the galaxy will remember why you never threaten Earth. The meeting was over. Plans were made. In 24 hours, humanity would show the Council what real war looked like. The aliens thought they were dealing with primitive creatures. They were about to meet apex predators. Commander Jake Morrison felt the Independence shake as the new weapons came online. Dr. Susan Lee's upgrades had transformed their simple warship into something alien and deadly. The plasma cannons hummed with power that could melt mountains. The cloaking device made them invisible to every sensor the Council had. Captain Danny Clark's voice came through the radio from his own ship, the Retribution. His vessel had been a cargo hauler yesterday. Today it was a stealth bomber loaded, with enough firepower to crack a moon. All ships, this is Clark. Stay close to me and follow my lead. We're going to show these aliens what humans do to bullies. Jake looked at his crew. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez sat at communications, her fingers dancing over controls that would, soon, hack alien systems. Private First Class Ryan Johnson manned the new plasma cannons, his young face hard with determination. These people had families on Earth. They had friends in the burning colonies. They were ready to die for revenge, Admiral. Lisa Carter's voice filled the bridge from her command ship. This is Admiral Carter to all vessels. Operation Payback begins now. Show the Council that threatening Earth was the last mistake they'll ever make. The human fleet moved through space like ghosts. 25 ships, each one invisible and armed with weapons the aliens had never seen. They were outnumbered more than 100 to 1. But they had something the Council did not expect. They had fury. The Council fleet hung in space near Mars, arranged in perfect formation, 3,000 ships in neat rows like toys on a shelf. They were beautiful in their own way, all curves and shining metal. Each one was a work of art that had taken decades to build. Jake was about to turn them into scrap metal. Cloaking device is working perfectly, Amy reported. Their sensors can't see us. We're showing up as space debris. Good, Jake said. Take us right into the middle of their formation. The Independence slipped between enemy ships like a shark swimming through a school of fish. The alien vessels were so close that Jake could see their hull markings through the window. Strange symbols that probably meant death and glory in some alien language. Soon they would just mean death. All ships, this is Clark. Pick your targets. Remember, we hit the command ships first. Cut off the head, and the body dies. Jake found his target. A massive vessel that bristled with weapons and communication arrays. The flagship of High Chancellor Vex himself. The alien who had threatened to destroy humanity was about to learn what humans thought of his ultimatum. Ryan, lock on to that. Big ship. The one with all the antennas. Ryan's hands moved over his controls. The new plasma cannons swiveled toward their target. Each weapon held enough energy to level a city. Target locked, sir. Weapons ready. Amy, are you ready to hack their communications? Yes, sir. Soon as we start shooting, I can flood their network with false orders. They won't know what hit them. Jake took a deep breath. In a few seconds, the war would begin. Humans would stop being victims and become predators. All ships, this is Morrison. Fire when ready. The space around Mars erupted in light. 25 human ships opened fire at the same moment, their plasma cannons tearing through alien hulls like knives through paper. The aliens had shields, but Dr. Lee's weapons had been designed to punch through those shields. High Chancellor. Vex's flagship took 5 direct hits. Its hull cracked like an egg. Atmosphere rushed out in glittering clouds. The alien who had threatened Earth died before he could understand what was happening. "Direct hit!" Ryan shouted. "Their command ship is breaking apart!" Around them, the Council fleet exploded into chaos. Ships that had been in perfect formation suddenly found themselves under attack by invisible enemies. Their sensors showed empty space, but their ships were dying anyway. Amy's fingers flew over her keyboard. "I'm in their communication system. Sending false orders now." On her screen, Jake could see the messages she was transmitting. Orders that seemed to come from Council commanders, telling ships to fire on each other. Panic spread through the alien fleet like wildfire. "Enemy destroyer turning to attack its own cruiser," Amy reported with a grin. "They think their allies have gone crazy." Captain Clark's voice came through the radio, full of savage joy. "This is working better than we hoped. They're shooting at each other." The battle became a massacre. Human ships, still invisible, darted between enemy vessels like angry wasps. Every shot found its target. Every target exploded in brilliant fire. The aliens had never faced an enemy like this. They had rules for honorable combat. Humans had thrown out the rulebook. A Council dreadnought, twice the size of any human ship, fired wildly into empty space. Its weapons lit up the darkness but hit nothing. Jake brought the Independence alongside it and fired every weapon he had. The alien ship's reactor core went critical and turned into a new star for 3 seconds. "That's for the colonies," Jake said quietly. Lieutenant Rodriguez intercepted a transmission from one of the surviving alien ships. The computer translated it into English, and what Jake heard made him smile like a wolf. "This is impossible. Humans don't have this technology. Where are they? How are they doing this?" "They're scared," Amy said. "Really scared." "Good," Jake replied. "Terror is what they should feel." The human fleet continued its deadly work. Ship after ship fell to their guns. The perfect alien formation became a graveyard of twisted metal and frozen bodies. What had been an unstoppable armada an hour ago was now debris scattered across millions of miles. Danny Clark's bombers struck the deepest into enemy lines. His modified cargo ships, loaded with missiles and plasma torpedoes, tore through alien supply vessels. Fuel tankers exploded like miniature suns. Ammunition ships went off in chains of destruction that took out nearby vessels. "Supply convoy destroyed," Clark reported. "The survivors are running out of fuel and ammunition." Ryan Johnson fired his cannons again and again until the barrels glowed red hot. Each shot was for a friend who died on Kepler 442b. Each explosion was justice for children killed by alien bombs. The young soldier had become death itself, and death was hungry. "Another command ship down," he reported. "That makes 12. The aliens tried to retreat, but retreat was not part of Jake's plan. The human ships followed them, hunting them through. Space like wolves chasing sheep. There would be no mercy for genocidal monsters. There would be no quarter for child killers. Admiral Carter's voice came through the communications system. "All ships begin Phase 2. Let some of them escape. We want survivors to spread the word." Jake understood. Fear was a weapon too. When word spread that humans could appear anywhere and destroy anything, the Council's other fleets would think twice about attacking Earth. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the space near Mars looked like a metal snowstorm. Pieces of alien ships drifted in clouds of frozen atmosphere. Emergency beacons blinked uselessly in the wreckage. of B. 3,000 alien ships, fewer than 200 survived to limp away into deep space. The human fleet had lost only 3 vessels, and those to lucky shots in the confusion of battle. Jake looked out at the destruction and felt no pity. The aliens had come to commit genocide. They had gotten a war instead. Amy picked up a transmission from the retreating alien ships. This time the message was not in code. This is what remains of the Council fleet. We have suffered total defeat. The humans have weapons we cannot understand. They fight without honor. They show no mercy. Recommend immediate withdrawal from all human systems. These creatures are not civilized. They are demons. Jake smiled. Demons. He liked that. Admiral Carter's final transmission reached every human ship. Operation Payback is complete. Return to base for resupply. Phase 2 begins tomorrow. As the Independents turned toward home, Jake looked back at the wreckage one more time. The Council had wanted to wipe out humanity. Instead, they had awakened something that would haunt the galaxy. For centuries, the war was just beginning and humanity was winning. Captain Tony Martinez pressed his face against the cold metal of his ship's hull and smiled. 3 months ago, New Horizon had been a simple colony transport. Now it was a weapon that made alien admirals wake up screaming. The modifications, Dr. Susan Lee's teams had made were incredible. Hidden plasma cannons could punch through any armor. Stealth generators made them invisible to enemy sensors. Most importantly, the ship could land on planets and take off again, something most warships could not do. Tony was hunting Council supply depots in the Outer Rim, far from Earth. His job was simple: find alien bases and destroy them. Leave no survivors. Show the galaxy that nowhere was safe from human revenge. Captain, said Lieutenant Beth Cooper from the navigation station, I'm reading a Council fuel depot on the planet below. Looks like a big one. Tony looked at the green world, spinning beneath them. According to their intelligence, this planet held enough fuel to supply 100 warships. It also held 3,000 alien workers and their families. 6 months ago, Tony would have felt bad about attacking civilians. But the aliens had killed civilians first. They had bombed schools and hospitals on Kepler 442b. They had murdered children who never hurt anyone. Take us down, he ordered. Time to return the favor. New Horizon dropped through the atmosphere like a falling star. The alien settlement sprawled across a wide valley, all curved buildings and shining metal towers. It looked peaceful. Beautiful, even. It would not look beautiful much longer. Amy, signal the settlement. Give them our standard message. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez, transferred from the Independents, opened a channel to the alien base. Her voice was calm and cold. Council facility, this is the human colonial ship New Horizon. You have 60 seconds to evacuate all personnel. After that time, we will destroy everything in this valley. This is your only warning. The response came quickly, full of alien words that sounded like angry insects. They say we have no right to attack civilian targets, Amy reported. They demand we leave immediately. Tony laughed, but there was no humor in it. Tell them we learned about civilian targets from their attack on our colonies. Tell them this is what justice looks like. Through his window, Tony could see aliens running from the buildings below. Some carried children. Others loaded vehicles with possessions. They had 50 seconds left to live. Time's up, Tony said. Light them up. New Horizon's weapons opened. Fire. Plasma beams lanced down from the sky, turning buildings into molten metal. Fuel storage tanks exploded in mushroom clouds that could be seen from orbit. The beautiful alien settlement became a sea of fire in less than a minute. Tony watched it burn and felt nothing but satisfaction. Each explosion was payback for human children killed by alien bombs. Each death was justice for the genocide they had planned. "Target destroyed," reported Sergeant Mike Chen from the weapons station. "No survivors detected." "Good. Mark this location in our database. When other aliens see what happened here, they'll know what happens to anyone who helps the Council." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Human strike teams appeared without warning, destroyed everything military or strategic, then vanished before reinforcements arrived. Captain Danny Clark led bomber squadrons that turned alien factories into craters. Colonel Maria Santos personally commanded commando raids that rescued human prisoners and eliminated alien leaders. General Kevin Brooks coordinated it all from his command center on Earth. The walls were covered with star maps showing red X marks where alien facilities used to exist. Each X represented a victory in humanity's campaign of revenge. "Report from Sector 7, said Major Lisa White, his intelligence officer. "Captain Rodriguez destroyed a Council communication hub on Altair 4. Complete success. No human casualties." Kevin smiled. Lisa White had been a diplomatic attaché before the war. Now she ran assassination squads that made alien politicians afraid to leave their bunkers. "What about the Psychological Warfare Division? Dr. Harrison's teams are broadcasting our message on every frequency. The aliens are starting to panic. 3 more Council member species have withdrawn their fleets and gone home." The message was simple but effective. Any species that helped the Council would face human retaliation. Any world that supplied the enemy would burn. Any leader who supported the war against Earth would die. Fear spread through the alien empire like a plague. Worlds that had supported the Council for centuries suddenly declared neutrality. Fleets that had been heading toward human space turned around and fled home. Captain Martinez received new orders while refueling at a hidden asteroid base. His next target was a Council fortress world called Vector Prime. It was supposed to be impossible to attack. The aliens thought it was safe. They were wrong. Tony studied the intelligence reports. Vector Prime was protected by orbital defense, platforms, and a fleet of 200 warships. The planet itself was covered in shield generators and missile batteries. It would take a conventional fleet months to break through those defenses. Humans were not conventional. "How many ships do we have for this operation?" Tony asked. 15, replied his new executive officer, Lieutenant Carl Davis. "All equipped, with the latest cloaking technology and quantum plasma weapons. That's enough. The aliens still don't understand how we fight." The human fleet approached Vector Prime like ghosts in the night. To alien sensors, they looked like space debris or small asteroids. The orbital defenses ignored them completely. Tony brought New Horizon within 1,000 miles of the planet's surface. Around him, the other ships took similar positions. They were inside the enemy's strongest defenses, and the enemy had no idea they were there. "All ships, this is Martinez. Target the shield generators first. Once those are down, we can hit the military bases." The attack began without warning. 15 human ships opened fire at once, their weapons invisible to alien sensors until they struck their targets. Shield generators exploded in brilliant flashes. Defense platforms cracked like eggs. The supposedly impregnable fortress became a shooting gallery. "Shield grid is down," reported Lieutenant Cooper. "Planet is defenseless. Begin surface bombardment. Military targets only." Tony had learned to lie to himself about civilian casualties. Military targets were easier to justify. The fact that alien military bases were usually in the middle of cities was not his fault. New Horizons' guns reached down from space and touched the planet below. Army headquarters became a crater. The main spaceport turned into twisted metal. The Council's regional command center simply vanished in a flash of plasma fire. The alien fleet tried to respond, but they could not fight enemies they could not see. Human ships darted between the massive alien vessels, firing and moving before. Return fire could find them. One by one, the defending ships died. In 6 hours, Vector Prime went from a fortress world to a burning ruin. The Council lost 200 ships, 3 million tons of military equipment, and their confidence that any world was safe from human attack. Tony watched the planet burn from his command chair. Smoke clouds covered half the continents. The aurora from destroyed orbital platforms lit the night sky with unnatural colors. "Message from Admiral Carter," Amy reported. "Well done. Return to base for new orders." As New Horizon headed back to human space, Tony thought about the war they were fighting. It was not like the clean battles in history books. This was ugly, brutal work, but the aliens had started it by planning genocide. Now they were learning that when you threaten to destroy humanity, humanity destroys you first. The hunt continued across the galaxy. Human ships appeared without warning, struck like lightning, and disappeared before anyone could stop them. Alien worlds that had never seen war suddenly found themselves under attack. Council fleets that had seemed unstoppable began retreating. To their home systems, fear became humanity's greatest weapon. The aliens had advanced technology and superior numbers, but they also had something humans understood how to exploit: the ability to be terrified. Every successful raid spread the message further. Humans could strike anywhere, anytime. No alien. Leader was safe. No world was beyond their reach. The Council's empire began to crack as member species decided that supporting the war was too dangerous. Tony Martinez and his fellow hunters had become the nightmare that stalked the galaxy. They were death in the darkness, justice with plasma cannons, retribution that could not be stopped. The Council had wanted to destroy humanity. Instead, they had created their own destruction. When it was over, Lisa stood on the balcony of the former Council chamber and looked out at the ruins of their capital. Human ships filled the sky, their running lights like new constellations. The flags of Earth flew from every building still, standing. Jake joined her on the balcony. "So we did it. We actually did it." "Yes," Lisa said. "We did it. Was it worth it? All the killing, all the destruction?" Lisa thought about the human colonies that had burned, about the children who had died in alien bombardments, about the genocide that had been planned in the very room behind them. They started.